Welcome and thank you. You're speaking with Claudine Pucky, Psychic Medium, and this is our very first episode for Third Eyesight. Today's subject and topic is all about things you need to know when you're looking for a psychic. Are you looking for in the right places? Are you actually having readings with the right people? Or are you just picking them randomly? Are Google reviews the best way to go? Should we be waiting for other people to refer us? What is the key to it and how do we find the right person for us? I did decide to bring in two guest speakers that I thought had a wealth of experience through getting readings over the last 20 or so years, paying for various readers throughout Perth and WA and internationally. And I did get them to come in to the studio this evening and ask them their greatest opinions and ideas on how they found the best person to give them a reading. I'd like to welcome Diane Sin and Bonnie Graham to the studio this evening and thank them for their time now, for giving us as much information as they can about their experiences searching for the right reader for them. Okay, so Diane, give us a brief idea what attracted you to going to see or seek out a psychic.
Well, at first I had no idea, but a girlfriend came over and she says, "Oh my God, you've got to come and see this psychic." And I says, "Well, what's a psychic?" And she told me, it's past, present and future. So I decided to go, and I was 22 years old, and the lady absolutely blew my mind. She's no longer with us, but I guess my journey started from then, and yeah.
So what sort of experiences or things did you go through with your reading or your readings that you've had?
With the first reading?
Or any readings
reading in general. Well, the first one that I actually went and saw, her name was Joan Oakley. She was just absolutely unbelievable. She had told me about my past, present, and my future. And at first, the past was fantastic. I thought, how would you know any of this information? I mean, I was only 22 years old. I'm 58. So after that, she went into my present, and I thought, oh my God, that is unbelievable. When she started talking about the future, it was like, you're crazy. This is never going to happen. But it did. She even predicted the man I was going to marry and all the rest of it. And it just really started from there.
Great. Yeah. Bonnie, how about yourself, your background in relation to psychic readings?
My grandmother on my father's side was very psychic, being Scottish and Irish. And my mother used to do it as well. She did it with playing cards. And she'd always pick up, because I've got a twin sister, they would never pick her up. It would always be me over her. And then it just went on from there. And then I met this one, Miss Diane, and then we've been friends for over 30 years, and we just test each other and with psychics and go see this one or go see that one. This one's shit and that one's shit. And yeah, we've just been doing that for the past, 20 years?
Oh, yeah, a long time.
So how do you think you how do you pick the good from the bad, or how do you identify what you need or what you don't need? I mean, obviously we've got clairvoyance. I'm a medium. Yeah. And not all, like if you go to a tarot reader, they might be an empath, they might be a medium. So how do you decipher what is needed for you at the time, or do you not think about that?
I think we mainly do it by, if we go to a fair and we'll get a feel about them, and we'll just wander around the room for a while. What do you think? Reckon, Di?
Yeah, we wander around and you just get the feel. I think that this one, may be good for you. I mean, you don't really know at the end of the day. What I do is I just observe other people, and if they come out crying, you're thinking, oh my God, she must be good.
Yeah. We watch people's reactions later.
Yeah.
So do you only just go to psychic fairs though? Would you?
No.
No.
So we got a Miss Stalker here. She stalks them out.
Even going back to Joan Oakley, she had mentioned even that long ago that when I was in my 50s, I'm going to become a healer. And I thought, what's a healer? And she said, you're going to help so many people. So I thought, okay, kind of put it out of my mind. And all of that happened. I started getting into healings, but I wasn't sure how I was doing what I was doing. And she'd also said, you've got a lovely aura. I had no idea what an aura was. I do now. But, you know, it's all been such a journey.
Okay, guys, so if I was a completely new person searching for that one thing, how would I actually navigate through this to figure out who was the best reader for me? Where would I find them? And how would I know whether they were the right person giving me the right information?
Well, basically, the first question you've got to ask yourself is, are you looking for guidance? What is it that you want answers for? Is it past loved one? Obviously, you would go and see a medium for that. If you want other guidance, you would go to a psychic or a tarot card reader. Yeah. And purely, I would just basically go on word of mouth. Just find out from other people if they've been to the, you know, various people and
if you don't know anyone who's been to one, then you do a lot of research on the internet.
Obviously, for me, it's really important to make sure that most of my clients do reviews because that gives people like yourself an idea on who I am.
Yep.
I also encourage them to refer people. Obviously, if you have people, I'm a medium anyway, but a medical intuitive, and I find that a lot of people come to me with no idea, and they just sit there. So sometimes I have to actually give them a broader idea on what they can and can't do so that I can receive the information for them. And I think the first and foremost would be for me, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that I tell them, I really don't want to know anything about you when you walk in the store.
That's what I like.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
You know, because most of them that I've seen have actually fished for answers.
Yes.
And this is just from experience from over the years.
Yeah.
And if they're fishing for answers, then I don't want to see them.
I think the other difficult part is, and I think we discussed this before, is that people can be very closed off, and if you're not connected and don't feel comfortable with the person that's reading for you, I find that they shut off.
But I think that's the way that the person that you're seeing, it's the way that they're asking the questions.
Because I'm pretty straight to the point and I'm very direct, and I do ask people sometimes like, okay, I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. Tell me now whether you want me to tell you the truth, because if you don't, then it's
and and this is what I like.
Yeah.
Not probing and prodding.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes you have to do the yes and no, and sometimes for myself, I have to get people to close their eyes to make them feel very comfortable. I guess really people find it difficult to understand like a psychic medium, a clairvoyant, and also a tarot reader, empath, and they get all confused between the whole lot. Like I've had people come in and go, look, I just want the empath part. And I always go to them, well, it doesn't really work like that.
No.
Obviously, when you go to tarot readers, they're very intuitive.
Yes.
Or they could be all of the above, or you might get one different gift. But from your experience, as a person who's not seeking a medium who's speaking directly to spirit, what would you recommend for people to go to, someone to go to on their very first time? If it's not about connecting with someone in spirit.
I'd say probably a tarot reader or a psychic.
Yeah.
And what do you think the benefits are through that for someone who never...
Well, someone who's wanting answers, you know, just like even in...
Might be with relationships. It
could be work, could be anything. I think they're going to get more benefit out of that than going to see a medium.
So in regards to costing, because you guys have seen so many different people, and I know that a lot of people are advertising, so they say great, and, you know... I guess for me, I don't actually go to a lot of different psychics. I mean, not that I haven't seen psychics, because just because I'm psychic doesn't mean I don't need it.
Yes.
What would you say the costing range would be that people should expect to pay and to be legitimate? I mean, like, really?
I'd say anywhere between 80 and 150.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Anything more, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's too expensive. People are just fishing for money.
Is that in general, though? Yeah.
Yes.
Have you found that it's been a little difficult to sort of, I mean, obviously if you go to someone and then you find halfway through or even like 5 to 10 minutes in that they're really not the right person?
Oh, absolutely, and I just put a stop to it straight away. But this is over time I've learned to do that because you feel bad or you're thinking, oh, you know. But
that's their living, you know,
yeah.
and then... But there's no sense in carrying on with something if you're...
So I will stop it after 10 minutes and I'll say this isn't working for me, and that's when you know. Within the first 10 minutes you will already know.
So with all the readings, and how many readings do you think that you've roughly gone to between the two of you?
Oh my God.
Too many to count.
Way too many. I couldn't even tell you. My first one was when I was 22.
Well, mine was in Brisbane. I was, kids? Yeah, I would have been in my 20s as well.
You know, I started looking into tarot cards and that when I was 12, 13. And at that time, it was a bit of a, you don't talk about these.
No, that's right, yes.
And I lived in Perth my whole life pretty much. So it was like each year, you know, there was a few more. And then, you know, once I started doing readings or getting into that realm again, it seems, I think in the last 15 years, correct me if I'm wrong again, that it's literally not triple, quadrupled, but it's just, there are so many people out there that it's so hard to decipher one from the other.
That's right, yeah.
That's why you need to do your research.
Going back to Joan Oakley, the first one that I saw, she charged, I still remember, it was $25 for an hour.
Yeah.
That was back in the day when I was 22. So obviously with inflation, with everything goes up. But I'm finding that there's more and more people, more psychics, more healers, more tarot card readers than ever before. So it's really hard because everyone's jumping on board. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're good.
And that's exactly right. So, I mean... In order to decipher what's right for you, and I guess for myself it would be an energy connection.
Yeah. Energy connection and also purely word of mouth, I would say.
So guys, what would you suggest for people to take along with them to readings? I mean, you guys have seen so many different people. What types of items do you have been asked of you or you've been told to bring along to a reading?
Well, if they're asking like psychometry, obviously you take a piece of jewellery that is always on you. So you pass that to them, or your watch, your necklace or whatever, and they can actually go on from there and start doing the reading.
Photos of people that you want to heard, and if you want to record it, I suggest like my good friend Diane here takes her 3 phones and an iPad, in case one doesn't work, and a notepad and pen.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's always great because, and just a reminder, guys, not everybody allows you to record, so you always need to ask. And for whatever reason, like we were discussing before.
That's why you take a notepad and pen.
And you also need to remember, when you're taking a notepad and pen, you need to probably write down the context of how they're interpreting it.
Absolutely, because they do go quite fast. So for you to just get all that information, write it down, I mean, it's a lot easier if I can just press play. And a lot of psychics or mediums will allow you to tape and others won't. And if they say no, I always personally ask them, why is that?
Yeah.
And if I find that the answer is good enough, then I'll still go and see them. If my intuition says, I don't think you should go and see this person, just go with your gut instincts.
I totally agree, because like we were just discussing before, that in a reading, whatever they've predicted or whatever's going on could take 3 days, 3 months, 3 years or 30 years to come true. Yeah. So regardless of how they've said it, you go, that didn't happen.
Yes.
And you go over that reading again in 15 years and find that everything sort of comes to fruition.
And not everyone, if it's their first reading, is going to remember everything. So if you can record it. And then I'd wait a couple of days.
Even if it doesn't make sense to you at the time.
It may in a week.
Yeah. You also need to remember that when you get messages through, that it may actually not be directly for you.
That's right.
That's right.
It may be for somebody else. So
someone you know.
You need to sometimes write it down, then it'll come back to you later. You'll go, right, I understand who that's for now. So we are conduits for a spirit to give us information. You may not even know these people. You may not even be related, but you may